Hey, Kevin here, top wanted financial advisor and best-selling author, and we are here to talk about the stock market. I want to give you some things that you should pay attention to for this week. Now, I'm doing this on a Sunday. This video is coming out on a Sunday, and I'm telling you now, it's Sunday, okay? So this is a big deal because I don't normally do videos on the weekend. I do Monday through Friday. You get your 5 videos a week, but this is why you subscribe. This is why you want to be on the email list. So when something is important and it comes out like now, and you want to know before the week starts, this is the best way to do that. Because if you're in your normal habit, which means you sit down on Monday, you watch the video, sometime during Monday through Friday at night or in the morning, then you're in the habit. But if you ain't watching this on Sunday, you're going to be a day behind, okay? So, you got to be on there, hit that like and subscribe button, because a lot of y'all ain't did that yet. I don't know why. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So we are in what is, I guess we're going into the second week of January. Today is January 9th, and this is one of the first big weeks for earnings. Next week is even bigger. I'll probably do a video on that. And we also have, or coming off the heels of what happened last week, which really wasn't that great of a week, especially for technology stocks. So I'll explain what that is, let you know what companies are going to announce earnings and what that means for you as an investor. Let's first start with what happened last week. So the tech stocks didn't do all that well. This is because the Federal Reserve released their minutes from the meeting I think they had in December. What are the Fed minutes? Basically, the Federal Reserve, people who control interest rates, put out their notes and said, here's all the things we talked about, all the things we're concerned about, so on and so forth. They control interest rates. Interest rates control what we pay on our credit cards, it controls the bond market, and in some ways it does have an impact on the stock market because investors, not just us, right, but investors as a whole, they look at interest rates and that helps them to shift where they're going to spend their money. For example, they cut interest rates because of the coronavirus, and interest rates have been relatively low since the 2008 crisis. When interest rates are low, they want to push people to spend more money. They want to push people to invest in the market. Why is that? Well, that is because when I see my savings account drop, right, in terms of the percentage I was getting, I had Ally, I was getting 2% at one point, then it came down to 1.5, then it came down to 1, and now it's at 0.5 or whatever it is today. I'm like, well, I'm not earning that much on this account. I'm definitely going to go really hard and buy, let's say, Ally stock or put more money into the market so I can get a better return. And people leave bonds because interest rates are going down and say, I want to get more in the stock market. In some cases, they say, look, I'm going to go buy a stock that pays a good solid dividend, like a Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that. So people shift in that direction. Well, the Federal Reserve, and we talked about this with tapering and other things, they've been saying this a lot of last year, is what they say is, well, we're going to have to raise interest rates at some point in 2022. That tells investors things are going to go back in the opposite direction, and that a lot of the stocks that people were just buying up for aggressive growth are going to shift and move back to more defensive stocks. They could go more into cash, more into bonds, and other things. So the stock market, I'm not saying it's going to crash or lose, but it's not going to be as high as what we've seen in the last 2 years. That is the expectation. Well, in the Fed minutes, we found out that they weren't going to do just like, one rate hike. They were expecting to do up to 3. And that is, for some people, that is extreme. It's like, oh, y'all are really going to put the brakes on things. I need to go ahead and sell out now, because if I wait until they do it, then the market is going to tank. That is the fear. That is, and we talked about this fear, did a video last year around April or so, where we talked about the threat and the fear of rising interest rates and what that means. Why does the Fed even want to raise interest rates? That's because they want to taper down inflation. None of us like inflation. Gas prices are high. All types of things aren't in the right spaces. So when they make loans more expensive, they slow things down. I was encouraged, I say this all the time, I was encouraged to buy the home that we're in now because interest rates were so darn low. Well, if they become more expensive here in the future, a lot of people say, look, I missed out on my buying opportunity, I will wait. Therefore, supply and demand, there will be more houses and things will kind of level out. That is the economic thought in theory behind all of this, okay? We got that. So that's number one. Now, that is not a guarantee that this week for tech stocks are going to be the same as what we saw last week. I don't know that, but it would not shock me if that were the case. So keep an eye on that. all year long about interest rates and how it's going to impact tech stocks. Now, some companies, in my view, would be more of a discount and an opportunity versus others. The more established players that aren't going anywhere, the Microsoft, the Nvidias, for me, I'm like, I'm a DCA into it anyway. This is not going to stop me from investing in something like that. However, some of the newer companies, some of the companies that don't have like that really established, I would say, ecosystem, and we're investing based on, I don't want to say hope, but expectations. Maybe this is something like an Uber, maybe, but I see them as more of a logistics company, a tech company. Unity Software is something I would be concerned about. That was one that was really, really high, and expectations were really high. Snowflake is something I would be concerned about. I own shares of Snowflake. It's one of the few IPOs that I've ever gotten, and I'm just sticking in the corner and just leaving it there. Revvion, based on interest rates, is something I would be concerned about, because again, some of these companies that don't have profits in that established market, they have to borrow and borrow and borrow cash to really grow and put out as much stuff into the world as they can. Well, if interest rates go up, that becomes more expensive for you, and it's harder for you to do that. And also the expectation of what we thought you were going to produce, let's say $1 million or whatever it is, well, that's worth less now, right? It's not going to be $1 million. Maybe it's going to be 800,000 or whatever it's going to be, because interest rates are changing. So again, that's the logic behind it. So companies that don't have the solid products, that haven't been producing for quite a while, and they're in the tech space, this is one of those things that could have worked in 2021 that might not work in 2022. So just be aware of that. Now, the second part of this are the companies that are going to announce earnings. So that was really, really important as well. So I've got my list here. I just picked out, there are like 60 some odd companies that are announcing earnings. For those that don't know, and those that may be new subscribers who have clicked that subscribe button. Earnings are when companies come out, they do this 4 times a year, quarterly, and say, hey, look, from October, November, December, here's what we did, this is what we expect for the next year. It's one of my favorite times to go back and analyze a company and see what's good, what's bad, and kind of give me a direction for what could happen in the future. All right, so big companies that at least have hit my radar: H&R Block, ticker symbol HRB. I don't own it. I don't think I plan on owning it. I'm just nosy. I'm just really nosy on that one. Tilray, TLRY. TLRY is Tilray. They were the medical marijuana company that really takes off from time to time. Again, I'm nosy here. I have zero interest in investing in that company, but I know a lot of people do and did, and they got burned. I'm just interested to see where they are headed and what they think is going to happen, at least in the U.S., and where they see laws changing. I'm just generally interested there. So that's on Monday. Skipping down to Thursday, you have Delta Airlines, ticker symbol DAL. That is an interesting one because we're all still caught up on the coronavirus, I don't know if it's new now or not, but the Omicron variant, at least of this recording, it could be another one by the time you see it, that is controlling the market to a degree. So I'm interested to see how Delta does, because it's not going to be, this happens to Delta, so it's for Southwest and American and Spirit and Frontier and United and the rest of them that I can name off the top of my head. It's not that. Every business is a bit different, but it is a sector thing. Travel is going to be travel. I wouldn't also say that what happens to Delta is going to happen to Carnival Cruise or anything like that. However, I think Delta has, or since they're just reporting first here, they're going to have the first entry to understanding what happened during the travel season, and just give me a lay of the land of how companies are at least approaching and thinking about what happened in the last quarter and what may happen in 2022. Is a great glimpse at, if I own a travel company, which I do not, what should I be looking forward to, or what should I be concerned about in 2022? So that is a really, really important company and a report I'm waiting to hear from. All right, so Friday, this is the financial day. We've got 4 big banks. Again, there are a lot of them, but these are just the ones that popped out for me. None of these I own currently, but 2 of them actually we talked a lot about. We've got Citibank, ticker symbol C. You got Wells Fargo, WFC. Then you've got JP Morgan, which is JPM, and then you have BlackRock, which is BLK. I Now, the reason why this is interesting to me is because y'all know I already own Capital One, and y'all know I've been on record for a mighty long time at this point saying that when interest rates rise, which is what we expect, usually banks do well and financial companies do well, which BlackRock is not a bank, they're a financial company, but y'all get the point here. So those four all report on Friday. I'm interested to see how they see this playing out for themselves, see if they made more money, if things worked well for them in the last quarter, and then what they think about 2022. Because my thing at this point, right, is I have my theory, right, of what I think financial companies are poised to do and how they're positioned for 2022. I want to see if we agree, right? I've got my stuff. I need to go double check it with the people who actually do this stuff, right? So I want to make sure that what I think is what they think or see or feel or what have you. Now, again, because I own Capital One, Capital One's business is going to be quite different than, I would say, a Citigroup. BlackRock is going to be quite different than a JP Morgan, and we've talked about BlackRock. I am a fan of BlackRock. Ended up not pulling the trigger. I just said I'm just going to double down and kind of keep with Capital One. But I do like, I do like BlackRock. It's an interesting company. I think JP Morgan is solid. I think one of the kids owns JP Morgan. So I'm really interested to see what happens on that Friday. I'm interested to see what Morgan Stanley and Bank of America does. I'm obviously interested to see what Capital One does. But again, this is that first, it's 2022. This is the first week of earnings. We got what we got, right? And things will grow and evolve over time. Now, last thing that you want to know about, and the thing at where people make mistakes is, if you own any of the companies that I just mentioned, or you are looking to invest in one of the companies that I mentioned, be careful about investing around earnings. It can be quite unpredictable. There have been situations, I think it's happened with Microsoft and maybe even Netflix, where it's like, hey, we made more money than we did last year, and the stock absolutely tanks because analysts expected even more, right? There was a time where Netflix, they said we didn't get 1 million subscribers, but we grew by, I'm making a number up, 500,000. I was like, oh, that's terrible, and tanked. It was like, we didn't lose anybody. We still got 500,000 people. It's not as much as last year. Things are slowing down a bit, but it was a pandemic. What did you expect, right? You can't just, there are only so many people out there. So be very, very careful if you are trying to enter the market in one of these companies. And again, I'll give you a place where you can find all of these, but H&R Block, Tilray, Delta Airlines, Citi, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, and BlackRock. If I were trying to trade, or if I were going to jump into these companies and it's not my regular DCA day, I would be careful. It can go either way. There are days where it will absolutely explode. That happened with Avis, right? When Avis was already up 90-something%. And then on the day they announced earnings, we did a video on it. It shot up another 99% in one single day. That was great. That don't happen all the time, right? There are cases where it's the exact opposite, and companies absolutely tank because of what happened on during an earnings season, or when they announce what happened with the company. So be very, very careful, which is why I'm doing this on a Sunday before you go out through the week, and before somebody inevitably jumps into something and then it crashes, or jumps into something and gets lucky and doesn't know why. And that happens too. I see people like, oh, Kevin said something about it, financial companies. I thought it was going to be good. They just happened to invest on Thursday, and then Friday takes off, and like, oh my God, I made a lot of money. Should I get out? And it's like, it was earnings. You don't know, right? I've seen the opposite thing happen where people just, hop into JP Morgan on Thursday or Thursday morning, or not Thursday morning, Friday morning, they announce earnings, and absolutely tanks. And they're like, oh my God, worst investment ever. I'm gonna get out of it. And it's like, well, it was earnings. You got to be careful about that kind of stuff. So again, it's why I'm doing it on Sunday. Well, I want to get ahead of it so you know. Now, last question I'll answer is, well, how do you know what when a company is announcing earnings? Number one, you can just Google a company that you're interested in, earnings 2022. That you could do that. The other thing is Yahoo Finance has an earnings calendar. You'll go over, and I'll look at this page as I'm telling you about it. And then Public also has a calendar button too that you can press, and it'll tell you that as well. So if you're on Yahoo Finance, the regular web page, I like doing it on my computer just so I can see everything. I make too many typos with my thumbs, as y'all know, on Instagram. But all you have to do is go to Yahoo Finance, go across the top bar and hit Markets, and then you'll see a drop down that says Calendar. You'll go down there and you'll click Earnings, and everything will be there. I'll actually take a clip of that and maybe like make some arrows and stuff so y'all can see it. But again, Yahoo Finance, go to Markets, scroll down to Calendar, you can click Earnings, and it'll tell you all the companies that are announcing at the time frame that you're looking for, and you can make those moves from there. All right, so that is it for me. I've got a lot of really fun topics that we're going to cover this week. I thought I had it in front of me. Okay, I have way too many tabs too. Something you should know about me. I've got at least 14 tabs, and that's a low number for today. All right, so things I want to make sure that we cover this week. I want to do a video about Generac. I know y'all asked about that. I had to go back and check the comments from the other video because y'all wanted like different stocks for different sectors, so I want to look into those. The breakdown videos take a little bit more time because I got to read through the report and do a lot of research there. So Generac is coming this week. I'll check that other video and look at any other stocks y'all want me to cover. Unless if you want to add some to that list, feel free to do that in the comments. Want to talk about some simple, easy strategies for 2022 that you can use to invest. I want to look at Western Union's interesting there. We'll talk about that, and then some other things for 2022. All right, that is it for me. I will talk to y'all later.